When I read Eric's first book, The Lean Startup, he asked a very important question in the very last chapter of the book. He asked, if we stopped wasting people's time, what would they do with it? So we can also think as leaders, what can we do to stop wasting our time and stop wasting the time of the people who work for us? So in the Lean Startup movement, of course, we talk a lot about choosing the right metrics, not wasting time talking about vanity metrics and trying to sell somebody or paint a picture that tells the story we want to tell, but instead looking at metrics that really matter. But once we've chosen the right metrics, I think there's another really important question of what do we do with the right metrics? How do we look at these meaningful metrics? How do we not overreact? How do we not waste time in the process of trying to manage these metrics and drive improvement? So a lesson we learned from a statistical approach to metrics is don't waste time explaining noise. Don't ask people to explain noise in the data, because more often than not, there is no root cause for that noise. Asking why 5 times or 6 times or 12 times won't necessarily lead to a single magical root cause that explains that performance. And we have a method that Dr. Wheeler calls process behavior charts. It's a variation on something that you might have heard of called control charts or statistical process control charts. And let me share an example of how this can be very useful. Now, we have our goal, but one thing we're going to do is calculate an average off of some baseline data. This average performance may or may not be near our goal, but what we're looking for is to answer the question, is the performance of this system stable and predictable? So we calculate 2 other very helpful lines called process behavior limits at an upper and a lower bound. Now again, these are calculated. We don't set goals. This is not what we want the process to do. This chart tells us how the process is performing. And we see with this baseline data, with all of these data points basically just fluctuating within those red limits, all of these data points are noise. Any time spent asking, why did we have a bad day? Why was there a good day? Is more than likely a waste of time, and it distracts people from the effort we might put into actually improving performance, better understanding our system instead of just being really reactive. So let's take a look at how this chart might be used over time. We have our baseline data. We've established these upper and lower limits. We would predict that any future data points are likely to fall within these boundaries unless something has changed. So let's say we come back and we see on our next day, we've got a single data point below that calculated lower limit. This is one example of a signal. Statistically meaningful difference in the data that would trigger us to ask why. The fact that that single data point is outside of those control limits or those behavior limits tells us that there is likely a signal that's worth investigating. And there are a number of rules and heuristics that we can use to evaluate if it's just noise or if there's signal, one of those rules being above or below those lines. So we learn there might be a root cause for a signal. So Eric answered the question pretty well a couple paragraphs earlier in the chapter. We would achieve speed by bypassing the excess work that does not lead to improvement. And I think that's exactly what happens when we're overreacting to noise. It's excess work, it's wasted motion, it does not lead to learning. It just keeps people busy. It feels like we're doing something, even if it doesn't really help. So if learning and if cycles of validated learning lead to improvement, the lesson that we get from this methodology is that we can improve more if we overreact less.